What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Mercy just got a pretty significant buff. I might have accidentally discovered a new Mercy trick and a whole bunch of changes on the PTR. Let's get started. Over on the PTR, there's been a pretty significant change to Mercy and how the Resurrect works. Now, originally, people were complaining that this was a big nerf to the character, but I really don't think it is. In fact, if anything, I think this is going to be a really big buff because it allows for a lot more skillful play to the character, and on top of that, it also allows it to be a little bit less punishing when your Resurrect ability is interrupted. Remember, Resurrect has the longest cooldown in the game. It's 30 seconds. So if that gets interrupted, that is really, really punishing. Now, I'm going to go over all of those changes in just a second, but if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because I got tons more awesome Overwatch content every single day. So subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any of it. So what you're looking at right now is the live version of the game, and when Mercy is trying to resurrect someone, if it's interrupted in any way, if Mercy dies, if she gets stunned, if she gets hacked, any of that stuff, then the Resurrect will go on cooldown as if it had been used. Now, another thing is when you try to resurrect, you can actually look away from the target and even start moving away, and the target will still get resurrected. But all that has changed on the PTR, so let's take a look. So on the PTR, when you try to use your Resurrect, if you're interrupted by the character dying, or getting stunned, or hacked, or any of that stuff, your Resurrect ability does not go on cooldown. So that means you can get stunned. If you manage to survive, then you can go and try to res again, which is really good for the Mercy player, because again, remember, res is on a 30-second cooldown, so having it shut down without actually using it was really painful. But there's another thing about this. So on the live version, I showed you can look away from the target when you're rezzing them and it will still continue, but on the PTR, that no longer works. And this is why people were originally calling it a nerf, because you have to continue to look at the target in order to res them for the full duration of the cast time. But again, I think this is also kind of a buff at the same time. Like, yes, it means that you have to actually look at the target, you can't just kind of swing away as soon as you start to res. But at the same time, it means that you now have a way to actually cancel the res if you want to. So if you start to res one target and then another better target ends up getting taken out, you can then quickly cancel your res and go over and res the other target instead. So it gives you, as the Mercy player, a lot more control over who you actually are going to res and if you want to cancel it. So I think there is a little bit of a nerf in this change, but the overall net result is a pretty big buff to the character. Now, I don't think this change is going to make Mercy get picked any more than she already is, but when she is getting used, I think it's going to make her a little bit more valuable. Next up, I want to quickly go through the actual patch notes for this PTR update, because there was some pretty significant changes to some of the other heroes. Now, unfortunately, none of the Mercy changes are actually in the patch notes, and just the other day, Jeff Goodman was saying that he wanted to improve the quality of the patch notes, and yet a major change for Mercy was not included. Guys, you have to put all this stuff in the patch notes. I'm glad that you're trying to improve it, but you still got a long ways to go. And now for the stuff that is in the patch notes. I'm not going to read all of it. You can pause it and check out all of these if you want to read them. But the basics of it is that a lot of Doomfist's problems with the Rocket Punch and the Seismic Slam have been corrected. So now if you're actually supposed to connect and do damage, then it will. At least for a bunch of the things. Moira had a bunch of changes as well with her biotic orbs. They are now not going to be able to go through certain structures or terrain that they weren't supposed to. And when Genji deflects the biotic orb, it doesn't have an infinite value anymore. So what used to happen is if Genji deflected the healing orb, it would heal an infinite amount until it eventually just disappeared. Whereas the normal biotic orb, it can heal for either 300 or for the duration. and when it was deflected, it just got rid of the, the 300 cap. So it could heal more than 300 when Genji deflected is basically what the issue was. Also, they improved some of the Biotic Grasp. That is the main damage ability that Moira has for her tracking. So now when you're supposed to lock onto somebody, it should lock on a little bit better. Moira's ultimate can now heal Reaper when he's in Wraith form. Sombra's hack no longer will prevent Tracer's ultimate after it's being thrown through the air. So if she starts to throw it and Tracer gets hacked, it doesn't cause it to just vanish anymore. And Widowmaker had a bunch of grappling hook issues resolved, although there's still quite a few, but at least this does fix a few of them. And the last thing is that players can no longer hide inside the Junkertown payload using certain varieties of emotes. I'm looking at you, Junkrat. And the last thing is a new trick for Mercy, but unfortunately, I can't really tell you guys how to do it because I'm not even sure how I did it. It happened accidentally twice. So while I was recording the footage for the Resurrect interaction, while I was on the live version of the server, I somehow accidentally made Mercy shoot way up into the air, like really, really high. And this was higher than like a Pharah boost, right? So what was happening was I was waiting for the McCree to come over so that I could record some of the interactions with, the stuns and stuff like that. And so I was basically glide hopping around the soldier, and somehow I ended up getting way, way up in the air. Now, I spent at least 20-30 minutes trying to figure out how I did this, and I could not figure it out. I accidentally did it twice, but I don't know how to do it. So if you guys have experienced this, or if you know how to do it, or if you're able to figure it out, let me know. I don't know how useful this trick is. I don't know how useful it is to like kind of, just go way up in the air. Like this was really fast too. Like I was like hopping over to where Mercy is, and then I just went way, way, way up in the air. So it might be kind of useful as like an escape mechanism or something, but like, I don't know how I did it. So I can't really tell you, but I know it's there. So if you guys have seen it or if you've done it yourself, let me know in the comments and tell me how you actually did it. But that's going to be about it for this one, guys. What do you think about those Mercy changes? Let me know down in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. The links are down below. Thanks for watching. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.